Hey there, this is Jacques from Heroes and Legends. Welcome to a Magic the Gathering top 10 list. Today we're going to look at the top 10 green cards we really want to see reprinted in Eternal Masters. Now, if you've been watching the channel, you know this is part of a series, and this is actually the 5th one we've done. We've already looked at all the other parts of the color pie, and over the course of the week, we're going to do 3 more videos. One for colorless spells, one for lands, and one for multicolor spells. So stay tuned for those. But today we're talking about the green cards, and basically, we came to our top 10 list through a couple different venues. First, we looked at how much cards are valued in the secondary market. So if cards were starting to get a little bit high, or maybe they were overcosted really for what they do for the game, these are the cards that kind of caught our attention and made it on the radar. Then we looked at how often these cards are played in Eternal formats. Now, Eternal formats are any format that spans the history of Magic, so these are things like Legacy, Vintage, Commander, Tiny Leaders, Cube, among many other formats. Now, Modern technically not an Eternal format, but we are aware that sometimes Modern drives prices, which may help bump some of these cards up to the top 10 list. Also, all things being equal, if a card also sees some Modern play, it may get a little bit of advantage over one that doesn't. Now, having said that, last thing I want to mention is reserve list cards. They won't be on here because we know they won't be reprinted in Eternal Masters, but that's a story for another day. Let's look at first the honorable mentions. So, strange variety cards here in the honorable mentions. A few of them that are newer, like Scavenging Ooze, Green Sun Zenith. A few that are a little bit older, like Birds of Paradise and Choke. Now, Scavenging Ooze is a fantastic sideboard card. Sees play in Modern, but sees play in a lot of other formats as well. Green Sun Zenith has been very powerful from the moment it came out. Birds of Paradise, one of the older cards, one of the oldest, as a matter of fact, originally printed in Alpha. It's been printed a number of times, but it hasn't been printed in a while, and this is basically just like a Cube staple. It'd be nice to get some more copies out there. And then our last honorable mention, Choke. Amazing sideboard card. Again, it sees a lot of play in sideboards in a lot of different formats. Number 10 is Primeval Titan, and Primetime just kind of sneaks in, grabs the 10 spot. This was recently reprinted in Modern Masters 2015. However, it's still going to run you about $10 to get a copy of this card, and it still sees a lot of play. Now, it's very interesting. It's probably one of the few cards on any of the top 10s in this series that is a card that's banned in Commander, but even so, still has a pretty nice price tag. Now, this card sees a lot of cube play, and green and cubes 99% of the time tend to be kind of a ramp strategy where you want to ramp into some lands and get to some big creatures, and Primeval Titan is almost kind of like a mid-range creature in those strategies, so you see this quite a bit in cubes. Number 9, Life from the Loam. And here's a card that we know will never see a reprint in a standard release ever again, so it kind of makes sense to try to put this in Eternal Masters. Now, Dredge is a very popular deck in a number of different Eternal formats, and it's going to continue to be popular for quite some time. Now, here's the thing. It's still relatively affordable. You can get a dual decks version of this for about $10. However, as time goes on and more folks get into Dredge and want to try that deck out and play it in different formats, or perhaps put a Dredge component in their cube, this will continue to rise in price. So we might as well kind of catch this one before it gets out of control. Number 8, Heritage Druid. Now, this is a card from Morningtide. Morningtide, even though this is an uncommon, still a set that wasn't printed a whole lot compared to sets today. So because of that, yeah, we have a $12 uncommon, sees a lot of play in Elf decks, both the Modern version, but more importantly for these purposes, the Legacy version. Number 7, Exploration. Now, here's a card again that saw a reprint a few years back in Conspiracy, but it's still a very popular card. Sees a lot of play in a lot of different places, and still going to run you a little over $12. It can really add up if you're trying to get a play set. Number 6, Chord of Calling. Now, this card, if you pick up the most recent printing, which was Magic 2015, you're still paying about $13, $14 for this card. Now, granted, a lot of this one is being driven by Modern. There's some pretty powerful decks in Modern that are running Chord of Calling. However, it does see a lot of Eternal play as well. And because of that and its value at this point, it made the list at number 6. Number 5, Glimpse of Nature. And now we're getting up there. We're almost at the $20 mark with this card from Kamigawa. It's never seen a reprint, and it's a big part of Legacy Elf decks. So again, Legacy Elf decks have been very powerful and very popular in recent years, especially because in some ways it's a little cheaper to put together a lot of these builds than it is some of the other Legacy builds. So that makes people gravitate to it, and over time these cards start going up in value, and this is a perfect example of that. Number 4, Craterhoufe Behemoth. Now, this is a card that sees a lot of cube play. Like, I think every cube I've ever played has had Craterhoufe Behemoth in it, kind of as a green win condition. It just kind of fits in what green wants to do. A lot of small creatures ramping into stuff, and then ramp with a bunch of elves, and then of course those elves present this creature, and there you go, you win the game. So it's very popular. Also sees play in other Eternal formats, obviously, as a finisher as well. But this card, yeah, over $20 now. It's reaching almost $23. It's going to keep going up. Perfect time to get a reprint. And this is a card that maybe could be reprinted at a lower rarity than Mythic and would fit in nicely in Eternal Masters. Number 3, Natural Order. Now this is the Visions version here. You can pick this up for about $32, $33. You can also get a original Portal version, which is going to run you about the same. I really like the art on this Visions version a little better personally. Therese Nielsen art is always incredible. Now, having said that, where's the C play? A lot of places. Cube, again, is a major one. This is another card that just kind of fits in the strategy for what green wants to do in cubes most of the time. This card's awesome. Obviously can sneak in huge green creatures just pretty much out of nowhere. Fantastic card. I'd love to see this reprinted. Again, I feel like this maybe could be a rare instead of a mythic in the set. Number 2, Noble Hierarch. Now, I realize this is partially driven by Modern, and that's why this is a $45 card. But let's face it, we just recently got a reprint in Modern Masters 2015 at the rare spot, and this is still almost a $50 card. If we wait, say, another year for another Modern Masters set to reprint this, who knows how high it will be at that point. This is a good time to be able to throw this in a rare spot in Eternal Masters. It's going to help perhaps with the green sort of ramp strategy to get to some of the big green creatures in the limited environment, and we get more copies out there for players to play with. That's what's important. So this is number 2, and if this is number 2, what is number 1? Well, of course, it's Tarmogoyf. Now, Tarmogoyf, again, is a card that sees a lot of Modern play. Now, this has been reprinted in Modern Masters and Modern Masters 2015. And if you want the cheapest version, you can pick up the Modern Masters 2015 version for, well, $142.81. That's insane, especially if you're trying to get a play set of these things. So, does this see play in Legacy? Yup, it sure does. Does it see play in Vintage? It sure does. It's not as popular in, say, Cubes or even Commander sometimes, but at least for Vintage and Legacy, I think that's a good enough reason to go ahead and print this thing again. Now, printing more copies of Tarmogoyf in a limited release set like Eternal Masters, I understand isn't going to really help that much, unfortunately, in the long run. However, any little bit will help. If we can get a few more copies out there for players, that would be awesome. So this is our number 1. And yeah, green's a very interesting color, as you can see here. A lot of green cards that have been more powerful of cards that have come out more recently. And I think that's reflected in the top couple of the list. So having said that, like I mentioned, stay tuned for the last 3 editions of this series that will be coming out over the course of the week. Until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.